Guys, welcome back. Billy Kid. Today I'm doing the mysterious murder of, as you guys know, the boy in the box. So, known as also America's Unknown Child, the boy in the box murder has gone unsolved since the discovery of his body on February 25th, 1957. On that fatal day, a college student, Frederick Benosis, reported find a nude body of what appeared to be a young boy, 4 to 6 years old. Some say 4 to 5 years old. We don't know exactly what age because they could never figure out because they didn't have enough stuff about him. He was wrapped in a blanket inside a discarded baby's bassinet cardboard box. So he was inside of a box that was originally used for like a crib. Let's say that. It was made in J.C. Penney's, the box. So they took him down to the police station, his body, and they tried to figure out as much stuff they could, see who his parents were and everything. So at first they just put papers around the city to see if anybody would say that was his son or her son, but nobody did that. So then they had to go farther into the investigation, but still they couldn't find anything about his past. They couldn't find any documents about who he was. And then they started finding suspects about who his parents were. So one suspect was a lady. She had a daughter, and the daughter said the daughter's in a mental asylum now or whatever. But the daughter said that when she was younger, her mom bought a kid from a man, and after she bought the kid, she beat him and then left him on the side of a road in a box. But somehow, I think they were talking about this kid, but somehow didn't have enough evidence to link them together. So she went home safe. And then there's this other guy. He bought an apartment from a guy who was renting out an apartment, and while he bought the apartment, he told the guy, "I sold my son to get this apartment." Again, somehow didn't have enough evidence to arrest him, so they never did anything about him. Don't know how they didn't have enough evidence. This kid was born in 1950, and they buried him in 1957. But they don't know originally when he died, because they say he had to be there for like a couple weeks or so, or like months or so. They say known for victim of homicide, and his nickname is America's Unknown Child. And on his gravestone it says the Unknown Child. People visit him and put toys on his gravestone because they feel bad for him. It's really sad. And he died in Pennsylvania. That's where he was found. But I don't get how they know when he was born. Because they say he died in 1957, but born in 1950. So that would mean he's 7 years old, not 4 to 5 years old, or 4 to 6 years old. So maybe he was turning 7. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, but so it says he might have been lying in that box for 2 to 3 days or 2 to 3 weeks. It said he had blue eyes, fair complexion, and medium to light brown curly cut hair. His nails were noticed as being neatly trimmed. He had deep bruises covering much of his body and face, and experts speculate that due to the cold weather, the child has been lying in the box for blah blah blah, like I said. But this was like 50, 60-ish years ago, longer than that. They still don't know what happened to this boy. Whoever did it, left no signs of anything. And plus, when they found him, his hair was, ripped out. Parts of his hair just got, chunks of it just got ripped out by somebody. I know that guy that bought the apartment, it probably looks like he did it, but I feel like there's a better chance the lady did it, because they said she beat him and did stuff to him, and she has bruises on his face. He had bruises on his face and all that. So I'm pretty sure the lady did it. And do you remember when I said the man and the lady, the lady bought something from a random guy and the guy sold something to a random lady? Well, those two met up. Those were the two people I was talking about. They met each other. And it said, so there was 12, this is before they closed the case. So back then, when they first found out, they were looking at suspects who bought a similar, crib like them. And there was 12 people that bought a crib in the same boxes that kid was found in. So they try to contact all 12 of those people that bought one, but only, I think it was like 7 of them responded and said they didn't. So those other 4 or 5 people that didn't like say anything, I think they just did that because they didn't want to feel like a suspect or something. But it was really, really like gruesome. Oh yeah, and he died from multiple blows to the head. So somebody grabbed something really heavy and just started like beating his head with it until it started like just like his skull like shattered and just started mushing inward. It's really gruesome. It says on November 11th, 1998. So that was 22 years ago. The boy was reburied in a donated coffin at the Ivy Hill Cemetery, and website was launched to keep this boy's memory alive and to help generate new leads. The website is America's Unknown Child, so you can go to that if you want. But the thing is, whoever was the parent of this kid, nobody ever came forward. I think they were afraid that if they came forward, the actual parents, they would get charged with like abuse or something. Yeah, so this was 53. So the possibility of this 53-year-old crime being solved is quickly vanishing. The case remains open in name only. The police officers, investigators who tried to keep this case moving forward are passing away or too old to continue pursuing the occasional lead that comes their way. Chances are that the individual or individuals who killed this young boy have since died and will never face justice for their crimes. Experts agreed that if this case occurred 10 or 20 years ago, the crime most likely would have been solved. In 1957, police departments did not communicate or share information outside of their local areas. Media coverage was also limited to Pennsylvania, Delaware area. In today's age, this case would have been national news, and the information pertaining to this case would have been available to all city and federal law enforcement agencies. So what they're saying is, if this exact thing happened like recently, we would have figured it out way easier because we had more technology. And plus, back in the day, if a problem happened, the police officers would not wouldn't do anything besides their like little town. Like now, if there's like a kidnapping, the whole nation helps to try to find or figure out the case. Back then, only that little small part of like the town that happened would only figure it out. They wouldn't communicate with anybody else, so it was harder. There wasn't as much people, wasn't much technology. They didn't have as better stuff to work with, because back then they barely had any technology. So, in conclusion, if this happened recently, we would have figured it out. But since it was back then and people weren't as smart with technology, we didn't figure it out. But the lady I was talking about that said that her mom abused the kid and he was like autistic and couldn't speak, and she threw him on the ground and beat him because he threw up because he ate beans. They said they couldn't say that it was true because she had illness, but I think that was true because everything matches up. Bruises, bashed head, she beat him, bruises, radio clothes, they weren't that rich, so all it matches up. It's just they were being stubborn. And there's somebody out there that got away with killing a person. That sucks. I'm gonna end it here. Like and subscribe.